Hello and welcome to the World of Football show here on Sports Tonight Live. I'm your host, Mina Rzouki, and my co-host for today is none other than Tancredi Palmeri. Hello, thank you.
Buona presentation, thanks. Buonasera.
How are you?
All fine. Back from Amsterdam. We will have to talk a lot about what happened yesterday.
We have a lot to talk about indeed. It was yay Bundesliga and nay Premier League, with the Germans having three wonderful matches, and who better to dissect those victories than two Serie A lovers. But let's start off with, okay, you're a European football expert, let's just leave it at that, shall we? Borussia Dortmund, Real Madrid, arguably the biggest game of the Champions League round this time round. What do you think? Do you think that that was a fair victory for Borussia, or what's happening with Real?
I think yes. I don't think that it's a matter of what's happening with Real. I think that the right question would be what is happening with Borussia Dortmund. Not because it is a surprise. Of course, they are coming from two league titles in a row, but it's been a real show-off of science of football, of tactics. I believe that he was already, but I believe that with his win against Real Madrid and against Jose Mourinho, Jurgen Klopp is finally in the gotha of the European managers. And when I saw at the end of the game, I don't know, maybe it's just some journalist view of that, we like to make novel about drama, about everything, but the look of Mourinho, that anyway is always respectful, but the look of Mourinho when he went to Klopp to shake the hands, and the huge smile of Klopp was really like, the guy is very good.
Yeah.
Borussia Dortmund has been deserved doing what does better, playing a good football.
You see, I agree with you in that sense, and I think that it was a tactical victory simply because they knew how to sort of exploit the left-back situation over at Madrid. But you don't think that this has anything to do with the fact that Madrid really are without most of their first-choice defenders, and it was a question of them not really having the players. They lost Sami Khedira, who I think is vital when it comes to, you know, guarding the defence. They had Xabi Alonso and Modric, and with him dropping deep to receive the ball, there were all sorts of problems for them because they didn't have the personnel required. Do you honestly think that Klopp would have won that with the first starting 11 for Real Madrid?
Okay, you are absolutely spot on everything. I want to quote what Mourinho told me 1 year ago, was before a Clásico in Barcelona, when I asked him about, it was after a losing Clásico, if I'm not mistaken, and said, if you would have played that, you would have liked, and he told me, if in football doesn't exist.
Work.
So surely if there would be the starting 11, probably would be a different story. But I think that the miss of the fullbacks actually affected less Real Madrid than losing Khedira, because Khedira, I mean, vital, but all the season, vital already at the end of the last season, vital during Euro 2012.
Perhaps the most underrated footballer.
Yeah, might be. But the balance and the way he's all over on the pitch is great. More than the fullbacks, because it's true that Marcelo is increasing a lot in this season, but it's not like Coentrao is something like, irreplaceable so far for Real Madrid.
No, you're right. I would agree with that, yes. But let's ask Titus Chalk, writer for 442 and our German football expert. Hello, Titus. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, do tell us, do you think that this is a huge victory for Borussia Dortmund? And they suffered quite a little last season, but now that they're suffering in the league, is that why they're sort of turning it on for the Champions League? They're focusing more on that this season?
Yes, I mean, I think there's still a squad who are kind of in transition, they haven't necessarily got the resources or the strength that a Man City or a Manchester United or Real Madrid have, and who are used to kind of really handling that 2 games a week situation of being in Europe and still turning it on at the weekend. So, they're kind of seesawing between the two at the moment, and I guess it makes sense, but I think they handled this fixture fantastically. I think, yes, Real Madrid were missing their fullbacks, but I think they would have still given them a hell of a game either way. I mean, I think they got their tactics spot on. They really pressed very hard, and in the aftermath of the game, Jurgen Klopp was speaking about how they'd really worked hard on neutralising Xabi Alonso, and I think you saw that in the game. He was terrible, and Madrid were really restricted to sort of a lot of long balls. I mean, okay, admittedly they got their equaliser from one, but it wasn't it was really a case of, I think, Dortmund stifling them and showing what they've been about really for the last couple of seasons. This really high energy pressing game. I thought they executed their game plan brilliantly.
So tell me, why do you think that, I mean, they're also losing the likes of Gundogan and, of course, Blaszczykowski there that create something for the team that no others can. But why did they lose so dramatically, rather, to Schalke over the weekend and then manage to do so well without their, two of their star players?
I mean, it's a strange situation. Yes, they had real injury concerns going into the derby against Schalke, and obviously I don't think that was helped by the international break. I mean, you always get these kind of slightly abnormal results that are thrown up after an international break. It does happen. Klopp also started that game experimenting with a back three, with Sven Bender at midfield and playing out of position in the centre of defence, and that was a recipe for disaster. I think, as he readily admitted afterwards, really, that it wasn't a game that you want to start tinkering in, and I think that just set them back too far, really. And as we've seen, by the way, Schalke are no mugs themselves. They proved again at Arsenal that they've got goals in their locker and can hurt teams. So, I mean, it was a strange game, certainly, but I think that also helped them go into this game really with something to atone for and really to be absolutely motivated for this game against Real, and certainly they pulled out all the stops when it really mattered.
Titus, we all journalists, we talk about how difficult it is to keep this balance between Champions League and the local league, and then arrives Schalke and they win the derby against Borussia Dortmund, win against Arsenal. Do you think is they just because they arrive as underdogs at Emirates, or do you think there is something huge that is growing over there?
Yeah, to be honest, I think there is something kind of structural happening in European football at the moment. I mean, I think German teams are on the up. I think it really helps, obviously, having sealed that fourth Champions League place from Serie A. Sorry, guys. But that really affects how competitive the league is. You've seen in the Premier League the effect of having the 4 Champions League spots. Everyone is going hell for leather to try and finish in the top 4, and I think that really raises the standard of competition. I think the other thing, obviously, in Germany's favour in the middle term will be how financial fair play comes to bear on the other big clubs. Because if it is sort of enforced, as Platini and UEFA have insisted it will be, then I think German teams are going to be very, very well placed in the future. They've got, they live within their means. They've got a real focus on youth development, which has yielded fantastic players. As we've seen since the World Cup in South Africa, really from that point on, we've really seen the level of those players, and I think those things combined, if there's a kind of flattening off of the money that's sloshing around at the real big clubs, then I think Germany and the Bundesliga will be really well placed in the next 5 years. It's not just the Champions League. They've got all four of their Europa League teams in through to the group stage, and they're all in action tonight as well. So it's generally kind of starting to improve and really sort of impose itself as a league on the rest of Europe.
That hurts a lot to hear from an Italian, but actually absolutely true. Wanted to ask you, Huntelaar, just the finisher, but wow, what a finisher. What is going to happen with him in the end? He's going to stay in Gelsenkirchen or going?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because, I mean, he's proved that he is fantastic. In the box, in the penalty area, he's up there. He's a great finisher. I just think he lacks a bit of variety and he lacks a bit of pace for the really top teams. And I think, although he did okay when you look at the raw numbers at Madrid and Milan, maybe that was just a bit too far for him. I mean, it sounds patronising to say that maybe he's found his level, but he does seem comfortable at Schalke. He's the star of the show at Schalke. He's working with a Dutch coach. It obviously helps having Afellay now there as well with him, and he hopefully feels confident and kind of well loved and not shunted out of position like at Milan, say, and and able to produce his best football. And if that is just finishing, if he's doing it 30 times a season, then he should be pretty happy, and so should Schalke. I don't know. It's up to him. It's stick or twist, isn't it? Really, does he try for a bigger club? I mean, the rumours are Liverpool. Is Liverpool really a bigger club than Schalke?
Wow, be prepared to handle the reaction of what you just said.
But Titus, I also I've been very impressed with Schalke. I think that they produce the second amount of shots, the second highest amount of shots on goal, only second to Real Madrid, and defensively solid. They found the right balance. But now I want to talk just quickly about, of course, Lille versus Bayern Munich. Lille is suffering at the moment. They lost the great talent, well, really Hazard, and now they haven't really done well in the Champions League. Now Bayern lost to BATE Borisov. They haven't looked like they're invincible in the Champions League, but they are getting the results. What they look like in the league is quite different to what they look like in the Champions League. Why is that?
That's a hard one. I mean, I think they went. Certainly, I think in the case of Borisov, BATE Borisov, they just underestimated them totally. I think that was just a real show of complacency, and I think that will have certainly woken them up for the rest of the Champions League season. They've looked great in the league, but perhaps that's also relative in the way that Borussia Dortmund have sort of fallen away a little bit. It's quite easy now it looks like it's going to be quite easy now for Bayern to sort of get the wind in their sails and run away with it. I think though they are a side who have who maybe are limited a little bit by Heinkes perhaps, and by some of the players. If you look at last season in the way they kind of collapsed, it just seemed to me like they lack that kind of really collective game plan, which looks like it's the way to win trophies now. If you look at, say, Barcelona in Europe or Klopp's Dortmund, and international level Spain.
Titus is very criticised, but I see that whenever, anyway, Robben is not on the pitch, and actually that happens often, but so much, anyway, is affected the fluidity, I would say, of the game of Bayern Munich.
But they are quite a side that, if you look at them, though, they're sort of almost based on individual talent. Whereas when you look at Borussia Dortmund, it's true, you can see a whole team in action. And I think it was that collective that won over Real Madrid that looked a little bit disjointed yesterday.
That also happens when, if you look on Borussia Dortmund, what are the big names for Borussia Dortmund? Well, maybe Royce, nobody. It happens when there are the egos like there is in Bayern Munich. But still, for how much can be criticized, Robben? But when he's not there, you can feel that there is something missing. I think that Shaqiri...
Without Robben?
Yeah. I think that Shaqiri should play much more, should have much more the confidence that usually they put on Robben.
Okay, well, Titus, we're going to have to say goodbye to you today, but I'm sure we'll speak to you next week so you can give us further updates on what's going on in Germany. Thank you.
Great.
But do you think that a German team could possibly win the Champions League?
If it is a German team that can win the Champions League, I think that is more Borussia Dortmund than Bayern Munich.
Why do you say that? You see, for me, I'm not a big supporter of Heinkes. And he's having, he's not really on board with the board, I don't think, either. There seems to be some sort of friction.
Champions League, as Mourinho, again, I'm mentioning Mourinho, as Mourinho said, is the competition of the details. And it's always the momentum is always the most important details. And I saw that the momentum of Bayern Munich was last year. And Borussia Dortmund is playing very good, very good. And that is always rewarding in Champions League. Of course, doesn't have a deep squad like Bayern Munich. But it seems to me that the momentum is more of Borussia Dortmund. And they focused just on that. They said, okay, we won twice, champions.
All right, well, that's all we have on German squads. But do join us after the break where we'll be discussing England, Italy, and much more. So we'll see you in a bit. Hello and welcome back to the World of Football show here on Sports Tonight Live. Now we're moving on to the Spanish teams, and while Real lost, Barcelona nearly managed over Celtic. Malaga has been doing terrific stuff, as well as Valencia. But we'll start off with that game because it was, to some it was shocking. To us who know Milan, and we've seen Milan this season, you sort of, I mean, I had money on Malaga winning this, 1-0.
I hope you had a lot of money because it was a very very good odds on that.
It was very good odds.
It was so predictable.
But there was a lot of money, apparently, betting-wise, coming in on Malaga. So a lot of people foresaw that this was going to go badly for Milan.
Of course. I don't know, who woke up from 20 years coma couldn't think that it wouldn't go bad for Milan. Because after you saw what happened, I mean, I honestly would be even more expectable a 3-0 for Malaga.
I thought so too. I was almost shocked that it was only the one, right?
Wow, grande Milan, bravi.
What about 3-4-3? What did you think of that?
I think that in this moment
For
there
Milan.
is no clue.
No clue.
Allegri never played that tactics in an official game, just in training. Lot of criticism.
Well, he sort of went 3 at the end of his last match in the Champions League.
Yeah, but I mean, a longer game.
But he threw on 5 attackers in the end.
Yeah,
Took away a defender and a midfielder. What is he thinking?
That's the point. What does he think? But honestly, I don't want to shoot on Allegri more than I'm doing usually, more than everybody else. But I mean, it's really, he's losing every kind of possible defense.
Yes,
seriously.
yeah.
There is just one explanation on that, but we will give that at the end of the show.
Yes, we will. And now we'll go over to Joseph Sexton. How are you? He is, of course, our Spanish football correspondent, and he writes for the Irish Examiner. And who is it else that you're at STV?
STV, yeah, and I've started running my own site recently, Spanish football previews. I kind of look in depth at all the games involving Spanish sides, so that's a bit of a new thing.
Okay, we accept money for advertisement, so okay, when you want.
But Joseph, this is meant to be something that this is meant to be the part we focus on Spain. So of course Malaga, the team that everyone was talking about, had to sell Cazorla, all the financial issues, which now the Sheikh has come out and said that he will invest more money. God knows what's happening. But is Pellegrini the greatest coach, like, after what he has managed to do with Malaga?
I think Pellegrini is a fantastic coach, and I'm really happy for him because he was treated so badly in his time at Real Madrid. The whole press campaign that Marca and others are running against him, I mean, he was a figure of ridicule. And even going back to when he started at Malaga, he had difficulty keeping them up. But I mean, you can see that he's obviously a guy who can run a dressing room well. I mean, we all know the troubles they've had off the pitch. But I think people have come around to seeing that as fantastic a player as Cazorla is. They have another fantastic player in Isco, and it's amazing. I've never seen a player of Cazorla's quality leave a team and improved. Apparently, the team he's left has gotten better, and the team he's joined have gotten better as well.
But I always thought, like, I don't know, Tancredi, if you agree with me, but I always felt that it was really harsh when Pellegrini was let go in Real Madrid. I mean, this is a guy that broke records. He didn't have Ronaldo for a lot of the season. He had a Kaká that was sort of, half there, half not.
Yeah, the thing is that the comparison between the total football, and I don't mean total just in the, as we know it is, what is total football, but the way that Barcelona was all over in that year has probably crashed Pellegrini. Because it was like everybody would just look poor in front of that Barcelona. Honestly, I didn't like a lot that Real Madrid. It wasn't so bad as was described. I didn't like a lot. It was that comparison that killed him. But I think that there is a special taste for him in this victory, and also a special revenge, because everything started to fall down for Pellegrini in Real Madrid 3 years ago when he lost home in Champions League 2-3 against Milan. It was the Milan of Leonardo that it wasn't that great Milan. I know that compared to now it's even wow, legend, but it wasn't that great Milan. Lost 2-3 basically thanks to a great game of Pato. So I think that Pellegrini finally could breathe, say, I'm back.
Yeah, I think so too. But, let's talk about quickly as well Valencia. We go from Pellegrini to Pellegrino, Joseph. And that was something over BATE. I know that everyone thinks that BATE is not good, but they've done so well so far. Of course, they shocked Bayern Munich. So is he on solid ground now?
I think there's a bit of a way to go there yet. I was looking at Valencia's game at the weekend against Bilbao. And of course, the Valencia crowd are amongst the most notorious in Spain. I mean, they booed Hector Cooper when he got him to 2 Champions League finals. They booed Rafa Benitez when he bought them 2 leagues. They gave Unai Emery hell at times. And again, even though Pellegrino's a club legend, in the game against Bilbao when they were losing, the white handkerchiefs were out. You should have seen some of the abuse coming through on the Twitter feed. So You know, they're an intolerant bunch at the best of times, and they really haven't had the best of starts in the league. I mean, it's such a tight league that victory has kind of lifted them up from the bottom reaches of the table to mid-table. But you know, then again, there was a lot of trepidation about this trip to Minsk to play BATE, and you know, what a way to respond. You know, that's you know, I think it's very unfair that some people have been talking down BATE before this competition. They've got a lot of players from the underage Belarus teams that have done well, and you
Joseph,
know, Valencia, yeah.
I give you some names.
Yeah.
Torres, Villa, Pedro, Raúl. In the last 2 or 3 years, basically, Llorente. In the last 2 or 3 years, basically, the big name up in front for Spanish football, for the Spain national team, was one of these. Why not Soldado? He scored an hat-trick. Actually, his percentage of finishing...
It was actually a really lovely hat-trick.
Yes. I mean, he's always there when it's the point. Why is so underrated?
That's a really, really good question. I'm not sure I have the answer to that, other than, you know, some of the speculation that's been around. It's curious that when Negredo's been in good form this season, after stinking out the place in the Euros, Soldado gets back in the squad ahead of him. But you know, I think some people have pointed to perhaps there was some sort of a falling out between Del Bosque and Soldado when he was in the Real Madrid ranks. I don't believe that. There's no evidence for that, but you know, some people have suggested that. But I think I think possibly it's just down to the attributes that Del Bosque has wanted in some of his forwards, and Soldado. I would have felt myself that he offers something different. He's such a clinical player, but perhaps Del Bosque feels he's a little bit one-dimensional. But you know, that's just a theory. It's very difficult to explain.
Well, okay, as well as all these teams doing, I was actually quite shocked by this, and I think the entire world were. And I think everyone sort of had a little bit of money, you know, on this being a huge thrashing, but it was a heartbreak for Celtic against Barcelona. So close to getting a point, and they've been doing so well in the Champions League.
Mina, we all in life at least once have felt Celtic in Camp Nou. We all. Once in life,
Yeah.
we have been, I am Celtic in Camp Nou.
Yeah, that's
all.
so true, that's so true. And we've seen so many great fairy tales so far, you know, with BATE and Bayern and everything like that. But this, nonchalant anyway, but there's something about this that's so sweet. But what is going on, really, the great picture, I guess, with Barcelona? Is it, you know, we say about the back line, but why would you play Song in that role and not, I mean, if you're going to take away Sergio Busquets, shouldn't you replace him with two players like Song? And just asking him to do that role all by himself, was that just too much?
You know, I think Song needs to find his role in the team. You know, that's the most straightforward answer I can give. You know, he's alternated between you know, a couple of games at midfield early in the season and in defence, and since then. I think Busquets is a huge loss. I mean, not just in a game like this, but if you look back a week before to Spain's international game against France, you know, you see the huge Busquets-shaped hole in the midfield. But I think it was really good, on the other hand, to see Bartra finally get a start in defence against Celtic. He looked very competent in there, and you know, hopefully this will be, you know, he'll go on to play a few more games now in the coming weeks.
I think he was even better than Mascherano.
Joe, question of the questions for you again. But I mean, if you answer right, it's just good advertisement for your next website. Do you think, you talk about Bartra, do you think that might change Barcelona policy to not sign basically nobody particularly important in January? I mean, really, as central defenders, they have very few. Piqué is out.
But who would you pick for them?
Someone, I don't know, but at least someone.
Yeah.
At least someone that when you don't have,
but there's not very many on offer. That's the thing for them.
Okay, Alex last year, could be signed easily. I mean, if you search something, you can see, but still, he's better than nobody.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Do you think that they could change that policy?
I don't know. I guess we're going to have to see. You know, see how quickly the likes of Puyol and Piqué, well, Puyol, I mean, especially, that's a really big ask at this stage. You know, how well they recover, because, you know, let's not forget Piqué's form hasn't been, you know, amazing for about 18 months now. But, you know, I think they have, you know, I think they have faith in this idea of trying to convert midfielders. I mean, that's after all why they bought Alex Song. But, you know, also people were wondering for the last few weeks, I have to bring it back to Bartra, just why he wasn't getting the start. you know, now that we've seen him in the team again, you know, it's just a case of seeing, you know, he's had a decent game there. Can he grow into the role? If he does, I think they'll be happy with what they have if they can get the other guys fit. But you know, of course, if you take it back to the summer, I know the money wasn't there, but you know, the problem with them buying defenders, I mean, they brought Szyginski a few years back. They need defenders who can play their system, and that's not always easy to find. I mean, and for that reason, you think it's just really unfortunate that they couldn't find the money to get Javi Martinez.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about Javi Martinez. In my opinion, he would
playing in that role, no?
I don't know. There's something about him that he's you know, he's very good, but he's a very Bilbao player. I don't think that he knows how to. He doesn't have the footballing brain, in my opinion, to make it in other teams. But that's purely my humble opinion. Thank you so much, Joseph, for coming on and giving us your Spanish point of view. Hopefully, speak to you in the coming weeks. But now we talk to you because you were at the match. I know the spotlight's on you. This is like the most amazing moment.
I was in Amsterdam, especially. Let's talk about nights in Amsterdam, guys.
No, we're not talking about nights in Amsterdam. We're talking about Ajax.
Let's make the point of nights in Amsterdam.
You and your red light district. No, I'm joking. Right, Ajax, Man City.
I was actually, because there were clashes in red light district between Ajax.
Yeah, I know. That's why.
Let's go to the game. Let's go to the game.
We saw you there because I was speaking to you yesterday live on the show. Did you expect this? Or no way would have expected this?
I would like to...
Considering Mancini's reputation.
Yeah, but still, Mancini reputations, if someone forgot that, Mancini, the maximum that he achieved in Champions League was quarterfinals with Inter, and he got Manchester City, was kicked out last year in a death group, but still by Napoli. Okay, troubles, okay, not easy win, but I would like to meet one person that would expect losing 3-1 against Ajax, never being in control of the game. When they scored, when Nasri scored after 22 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, it was a lucky strike.
They had 21% possession, City, up until that stage.
It was a lucky strike. It was something like, it was absolutely, I would say, a ball stolen by Milner. His initiative, Nasri was good enough to be alone on the left flank, and so it was just one moment. And then they lived on that for some 10 minutes, a bit, being more confident. But then again, Ajax, just after the shock, started again what they were doing. I asked Mancini then in the press, I didn't want to shoot on him because honestly...
Yeah, no, I understand.
I don't like journalists being brave.
And bullying.
Yeah, brave when they can and then humble when they are... But I asked him, that Manchester City has never been in control of a game. I told him, it's okay, it's a death group, but you weren't in control against Real Madrid in Madrid. Acceptable still. You were never in control against Borussia Dortmund. You were never in control today. And he replied saying, well, but at least we were 1 goal up. We should have realized better how to play after that goal.
But you see, my problem with them is that they've conceded more shots than any other team in the Champions League, okay? Which says a lot about the defence.
I think they have the worst defence of Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. They have conceded more goals, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure about the goals. I know in terms of shots, for sure. But actually, you know what? In goals, they are as well, I think you're right. But what I don't understand with them is do you think this is just about he just overthinks things too much, you know? There's no sort of solidity. There's nothing for them to know. The tactics change, the formations change. Richards came out and said that he's happier playing in a 4-man defence. And then he's like, but he's the boss, so I have to follow what Mancini says and converting it to 3. He did what Allegri did. He threw on 5 attackers.
To be honest, at the beginning, the defence was 4-man. I mean, there is also two phases of a game, offensive and defensive. You defend 4, you attack 2, and the other can be offensive. But the thing is that the team was never in control of the ball, never. Yaya Touré, his level completely crashed since the fantastic performance in Bernabeu. I don't think there is a matter of tactics. I think there is a matter of attitude and temperament.
Yes, he did say that.
I think that the fear of Mancini, the historical fear that he has in Europe, is just reflecting all insecurity in the player's mind.
Okay, we have like 2 minutes left just to round up. Of course, nonchalant Juventus. Why on earth are Juventus not performing? I personally think that it has to do, I don't like them playing the 3-5-2 formation, not because that was the reason why they lost. I think they lost because they don't have a striker, but I don't like them playing that because it
Vucinic was out, Vucinic comes in, Vucinic scores.
I know, Vucinic is their star, but I mean, they need someone else as well, and I think when you play 3-5-2 every 3 days, it takes away your intensity and it forces you
True, but in 10 seconds, this plays a question mark over the market of Juventus of last summer. They signed good players, Isla, Asamoah, good players. But if you need one, that striker just goes for that.
Spot on, spot on. They should have gone. Hopefully, maybe Llorente will arrive, but it is Marotta should look at this. Because
let's
that
see
is their
what kind of Llorente is coming.
33 chances
after 6 months not playing. It's maybe might be a player that needs a while to recover, and Juventus can't wait.
No, we really can't. But then we move over to Shakhtar Chelsea. Shakhtar, is this the great team that will win the group?
I think yes.
You think so?
I think
so too.
Well, they show the best. They probably showed with Borussia Dortmund the best football of all the Champions League, probably. And Willian is not.
Against who?
No, I mean with Borussia Dortmund, together with Borussia Dortmund.
Oh, right, together with right. Okay, I thought you said against Borussia.
Yeah, no. The best football we have seen in Champions League, in my opinion, is Shakhtar and Borussia Dortmund. But
Mkhitaryan.
Mkhitaryan, the others. But I think that more than the others, Willian, we are not talking about the best guy of Shakhtar.
Yeah.
We are talking about a guy that if you buy him tomorrow and on Sunday you play him in Classico, he's easily performing in Classico. This guy is ready to have performance in World Cup with Brazil. He's absolutely fantastic. And Lucescu, respect, because it's fantastic structure that he's doing.
And the fact that they have had a team that's been together for so long and know each other so very well, playing sort of the type.
Someone is saying that Chelsea considered the game because it was more focused on Manchester United.
Well, that could be something, but then Hazard did come in on the 29th minute. I don't know, but Chelsea
I don't buy that. Honestly, you are Chelsea, you are still struggling for the first spot of the
But they should have done better.
Yeah, of course, but you think they would focus, okay, we have Manchester United, they have quite a good advantage in Premier League. Why focusing on that?
It's true, you're right, but it is Manchester United. But after the break, we will actually take a trip down under just for a change and see what's happening in Australia, mainly because we want to know what's going on with Heskey and, of course, Del Piero. See you then. Hello and welcome back to the World of Football show here on Sports Tonight Live. I'm still Mina Rzouki and I'm still joined by Tancredi Palmeri.
Are you still Mina Rzouki?
Apparently, I think so.
You have 19 minutes to change mine.
Okay. But anyway, we are taking a trip down under just to stay true to the World Football show title that we've got going for ourselves. And we're going to be talking to Neil Sherwin about everything that's going on with Sydney, since they do have, of course, Alessandro Del Piero, and that's the biggest story going on there. And of course, whether or not Perth Glory are a little bit rough around the edges for a football team. Hello, Neil. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. How are you?
Perfect. So tell us, has Del Piero sort of brought around the media buzz that he was expected to by joining Sydney FC? And how has he been doing?
Yeah, he has, definitely. It's so far so good, and he's hit the ground running in most regards. He's been very, very open with the media. He's been associating with the fans quite well, and most importantly, I suppose, given he's a big investment, he's been getting goals. He's got 2 in his 3 games so far, and I guess that was one of the big things for him to see was for Del Piero to score early, because if we had 4 or 5 games, you might get a few questions asked from the cynics, but there can be no argument at this stage. He's done very, very well, and he's very accessible, which is a big thing. You often get sports stars, and being in a lesser league, he might have a bit of a prima donna attitude about him, but he's been the complete opposite. And the public here have really taken to him, even if they don't support Sydney FC. So it's been good to see so far.
Well, apparently he said that there's more to come, and he's just starting. So expect to have the full Del Piero. Trust me, we do miss him over in Italy. But what about this? What's going on with Perth Glory? Accusations that they are a rough team. I know you like them.
Well, yeah, it's not warranted really. They like to put themselves about all right, and they're a bit more of a direct side than some of the other teams like Brisbane Roar, who tend to play the ball out from the back and be nice to look at. Whereas Glory, they're not afraid to lump it along if they have to. put it bluntly. And they get stuck into the tackles, and a few of the players have previous indiscretions against their name, but really the reputation is preceding them, and they are actually a good side. They've got some nice ball players. I mean, anyone in the UK will know Liam Miller from his time at Manchester United and Celtic, and he's playing in the middle of the park, so a lot of the football goes through him, and he's a creator. So if you don't have a player like that in your side, if you're just out to kick people, and they made it to the grand final last year. They've started the season pretty well this year, and so far so good for them. They'd be pretty happy with how they've started, and if people want to put a label on them, then let them, but the results are what counts, and they still haven't had anyone sent off this season in 3 games. Picked up a few yellow cards, but who doesn't? So yeah, overall they'd be happy with their start.
Neil, making you aware that the schedule for Italian football fans has changed, because now they know that on Saturday very early morning or Sunday early morning they can have a football watching Del Piero because it's broadcasted. I want to be a bit the evil journalist. I wanted to ask you, Del Piero is performing, but looks like Sydney isn't at his level. So far at least, can't support so good the way he could play. Does anybody care about that? Or anyways, like, oh, let's enjoy Del Piero. Anyways, it's so far so good.
People who don't support Sydney are very quick to point that out, that it is a bit of a one-man show. Now, having said that, they have Brett Emerton, who's played in the Premier League and is still an Australian international, and he would be as close as you get, but still obviously a fair bit away from Del Piero's level. The rest of the players are not very good, and that's putting it mildly. They didn't make the final series last year, which was a big blow. They've got a big demographic of supporters. This season, the creation of the Western Sydney Wanderers as a rival team in Sydney has meant that they really need to up their game, and that was the idea of bringing in Del Piero, to have a player that they could hopefully build a team around for 2 seasons. That's why they gave him the 2-year contract. But the players they have at the moment are quite limited, and anyone watching their first game of the season against Wellington, I know it was shown in Italy, would have been scratching their heads and wondering what Del Piero got himself into, because they were awful, and that's being polite about it.
Oh no. Oh well, he is dearly missed, but with the success of having that, media success of having Del Piero and all that, I understand that Newcastle Jets want to sort of, illuminate their star, which is Emile Heskey. I don't know whether it's on the same level or not.
They were searching for a striker with a lot of goals. So they search for him.
Well, Capello loves him, so maybe they're going after him. But anyway, and apparently they have something set up where they're going to follow him around with a camera to boost their status as a club.
Stalkers TV.
Well,
yes,
it's actually.
I'd love to have that.
Stalkers TV. Emile.
Well, you missed it. Del Piero was the first player. It's a thing called Hero Cam, and it's done by Foxtel, the TV network here. And they basically follow the player for 90 minutes. Del Piero was the first one. Shinji Ono, the Japanese marquee with Western Sydney, was last week, and now it's Emile Heskey's turn this week. Watch player cam on and off just to see what it was like, and it's not very good because you've got a very close zoom of the player. So all you see is the player for 90 minutes. You don't see his movement in regard to where he is on the pitch. You don't see where the ball goes when he passes it. You don't know why he stopped making a run, because there's no commentary either. It's just looking at a player for 90 minutes. And I think it lasted about 60 seconds each time I flicked over. So they've got a bit of work to do on it. But if you really want to watch 90 minutes of Emile Heskey adjusting his shorts and tying his laces, by all means, turn it on. But
I bet that if they do that, I bet that if they do that in the MLS in States with David Beckham, a lot of people will watch that.
I would definitely watch that.
Look at that.
but my producers just said that they shouldn't really expect too much movement from good old Emile Heskey. I think that's a bit harsh.
It's a very easy investment. You just place a camera. You don't have cameraman. Okay, go. Come back after the game.
It'll be perfect for us. But
sorry, Emile. Sorry.
What is your prediction for the game on the game this weekend between Perth Glory and Sydney FC?
Yeah, Glory the better side overall. They've got a lot more to them. The spine of the team is a lot stronger. Having said that, Sydney are at home. They'll be playing in front of a big crowd. The attendance for Del Piero's first home game was over 35,000, which was a regular season record for Sydney. So that was a fantastic start. This is their second home game, so they'll be hoping for something similar. And given that it takes 5 hours to fly from Perth to Sydney. You won't get too many away supporters travelling, so Glory will be very much up against it, and I think that will help Sydney quite a lot. I think that in terms of ability, Glory would have enough, but the surroundings, the atmosphere and the hype over Del Piero will see them get something out of the game. I think we'll see a draw, a score draw.
Neil, a direct answer. I never bet on Australian football. What should I bet on Sydney, Perth?
I would go with 1-1 draw, and if you want to have a cheeky bet on Del Piero, first goal score, because as Mina mentioned, Perth are quite physical, so tend to give away free kicks around the edge of the box, and Del Piero's, we've seen footage of him in recent days staying back after training for 20 minutes just to practice his free kicks, so he might be worth a little bet for either a first score or anytime score as well.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, if I lose, you give me back the money, okay?
No, this isn't a betting shop.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Neil, for filling us in on all that's happening in Australia. We'll let you get to bed. I know what time it is over there. But do join us after the break, where we'll be back in Europe discussing Falcao, Allegri of Milan, and of course back in South America to discuss what's happening with Paraguay and their junior teams. Speak to you in a bit. Hello and welcome back to the World Football Show here on Sports Tonight Live. Now, we've got a kind of interesting story, and I'm sure you've either read about it or seen it, but there was a brawl that broke out in a Paraguayan junior team. So,
let's call it what happened in Paraguay when you jump the queue for an iPhone 5. This is what we're going to watch, because... Go on.
Well, I mean, if we have actually the VT, we can show you what's happening. The brawl, it kind of looks like the under-21.
What?
Look at that.
Are you serious?
Now, basically, what happened is that the referee red-carded 2 of the players.
Mamma mia!
They ignored him. They all broke out into a giant brawl. They all start beating each other up. The referee starts to run for his life.
Of course, what you would do.
But they are children, effectively.
Yes,
so surely you're supposed to control this.
At least, look at this. At least they are demonstrating. Mamma mia, look! It's like the young on Xabi Alonso. And he's not falling. At least they are demonstrating that they are not diving. They are not divers. But when they will come the real championship, if you will just blow on them, they will just dive on the ground.
You think so? Yeah. Well, it kind of looks like they've been watching Karate Kid over there. But do you agree with me? Like, the referee should have done a much better job of actually controlling this match.
I would like to see how the referee manages his life at home when he has to say something to the wife. I'm not going to do this to the wife.
36.
What the wife is...
What has the wife got to do with it?
Because this is showing the charisma of the referee. You show red cards and the player are not leaving.
Yeah, I know.
Just, no, please leave. No, please leave. No, please leave.
36 red cards, so that should be very interesting for them. Would we ever see this in England?
Are you telling me that for 36 times did you for 36 times?
No, he just went like this and then showed a red card. No, I'm joking. I really don't know.
Or maybe it was so huge they was like, guys, this is for you. It's really pure football.
We shouldn't really be laughing about people fighting. No. But would we ever see this?
But, okay, of course, it's horrible and disgusting to watch. But whoever watched that is thinking, seriously, kids doing that? I mean...
Okay, thinking of another thing that's seriously what's going on there, Allegri and Milan. We didn't get to discuss
Allegri,
this a lot.
Let me charge the rifle. I'm sorry, because...
Right, so let's just talk about this. He's put on 5 forwards. He put on a 3 at the back that, you know, really hasn't been a tried and tested tactic under him. He's got no team, so in some ways he's got an alibi. I thought over the weekend when they lost to Lazio, we couldn't blame him too much in the sense that he tried very hard to pad out the midfield.
More or less.
I don't know, I can't really blame him for that. So could we blame him in general? Is he really the man to guide the sinking ship?
Mina, exactly. It's no more a question of tactics. I mean, it's no more a question of almost anything that have to do with tactical football. There is a question of are the players still believing that they can make it? Because I'm not the one that is saying, they are playing against the manager. Never. They would really like to help. But there is this total lack of belief between the players, the manager, that something could go.
Do you say that because of Nocerino and Kevin Prince Boateng?
No, I'm saying for everything. I'm saying because they try when they are on the pitch. But you see when there is like players that are really running in circles and saying what we are doing, what is happening here. It's a shock after shock that happens after every game. It's a defeat and then defeat and then defeat. And when it looks like that, it's just cut that agony. is not going anywhere. For how better can go Milan in the next games?
Well,
just going anywhere. Seriously.
Well, from what I know,
he
from
doesn't
Sky
have the control of the situation.
No, but he never had control of the dressing room, let alone the situation. But we're talking about Allegri in the sense that he can't really be sacked because apparently, and according to my sources in Sky Italia, they would have to pay him 10 million. Is that true? Or have you heard that?
But
if they sack him next season, it would be 5.
I'm not really sure about that number.
Okay,
honestly.
But either way, Galliani has stood by him. Now there's all this talk of Rijkaard coming in. Is there a chance that we are going to see them sort of lose their faith in Allegri and just decide to bring in the likes of Rijkaard or whoever
See,
the
relationship, to explain that, the relationship between Allegri and Galliani, that is the CEO of Milan, is not the kind of I hire you, if you do a good job you stay, if you do a bad job I fire you. Because Allegri is totally, completely Galliani move, Galliani action. In the moment...
So he's defending his move?
Yes. If he fires Allegri, he's not going to fire himself, but he's admitting his total failure. And if he does that, it's because Berlusconi will stamp his feet and saying, enough is enough. So that is what is keeping Allegri. Whatever other manager in Milan or in another situation would already lose his job since weeks.
Yeah.
Just that is keeping his... but that also is like leaving the confidence to a manager that knows that is never gonna risk too much. Even if they will lose against Genoa on Sunday, I think that it really might arrive the
final time.
But honestly, I don't think they're gonna lose with Genoa. And Milan and Genoa are quite friendly club management.
But it's down there. Oh, so maybe they'll throw the game for them? No,
I'm not.
joking.
You are saying these words.
No,
I'm not saying
never.
this. I'm just saying that.
I wouldn't expect that from Del Neri especially. But someone who does know how to manage their team is, of course, El Cholo, Diego Simeone. I'm a huge fan of the man. I'd like him to one day be at Inter. But now, Falcao. He thinks he's on the same level as Messi and Ronaldo.
He said that?
Well, yeah, he said he should be up for a, what did he say, a Ballon d'Or? That's why he thinks that he should be up there.
Well,
but he's going to say that because it's his player, and of course he's worked with him before in Argentina. So at the time that So do you think that Falcao has the potential? This is a man who has put his entire life on hold to pursue his career as a footballer.
Well, I think he could be at the level of Drogba, and not of Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are... Cristiano Ronaldo is unlucky. In whatever other time, Cristiano Ronaldo would mark an era just because it's in the same time with Messi. It's like Maradona and Platini, more or less. Falcao can be a fantastic striker. I still see that Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are from outer space.
Yes, they are indeed from outer space, but we are not, and we'll be here next week to discuss the same football chat, same place and same time. Thank you so much, Tancredi,
Why you
for
say the
joining
same?
us.
They want you. No, completely different thing.
Okay, we'll talk about completely different things. Anything
Your
that
outfits,
you like.
yes, okay.
My outfit, no. But thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Take care.